This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics. I'm joined by John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Happy post-Christmas to you, John Brummett. I hope you had a good one.
Had a great Christmas. Looking forward to a happy new year. And it's a good holiday week, I think.
I think it'll be kind of a short week. Everybody will be rested. So besides it being a short week, we still have plenty to talk about.
There's work to be done.
Yeah, there's a lot happening at the national level where we will begin. Let's start with over the weekend and over the last week, we've seen the President Trump, really put up a fight on COVID-19 relief. Basically, he blustered that he had a problem with the $600 individual payments, wanted $2,000, but in the end, he signs the bill and keeps government functioning and relief at least on the way. Why all of this delay and bluster? Why not just do what he did several days ago?
Again, you've asked me a why question about Donald Trump. And many people have been asking that question, I guess, all of his life, certainly all of his public life. I think he's fighting to be relevant, to be important. I think he was mildly interested in just blowing everything up on his way out. I think he's mad at Mitch McConnell and some establishment congressional Republicans for not continuing to support his nonsense about stealing the election from Biden. I think he wanted to punish people. I think all that. I think he's just angry, and his own White House staff people didn't understand what he was doing, and goodness knows his Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, who had negotiated this deal that Trump called a disgrace, couldn't possibly understand it. And then I think at the end, he was reminded that he was going to hurt the party and himself and his future by playing golf while America burned, basically, that we're going to shut down the government with essential services needed during COVID, and with people needing help on unemployment and on small business support and vaccination distribution. And he grudgingly admitted he had to sign it. And in exchange for that, all he got out of all that was he put out a statement afterward saying, well, I'm going to redline some of these things, and I'm going to invoke the Impoundment Act, and I'm going to hold some of this money and make them change some things in there. That's largely nonsense. There is no line item veto authority for a president. Congress can agree to reconsider or look at impounding some sums of that money or not. And for that matter, Trump's only president, knock wood, for a few more days. So my ultimate conclusion is the one I've made before, and the one that's hard to always keep in mind because things seem so serious sometimes when he pulls them. But basically it's this: pay no attention to what he says. What he says matters not a whit, because in the end it will be contradicted by action or other similarly nonsensical statement. It's just a final example of the running narrative of this mad president.
So one of the things that he did ask for and push hard for, and it looks like it will get some consideration, I want to get your assessment on the possibility of it, is this $2,000 relief checks for individuals going up from the $600 there. The Democrats will pass this in the House and send it over to the Senate. The language in Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader's comments, is that we will begin the process of looking at these $2,000 checks. So I guess my question to you is, assess the potential success for $2,000 COVID relief checks coming to Americans.
I think McConnell I think the House will pass it. They're anxious to do so. And I think McConnell will give it lip service and give it a slow walk. He doesn't have to give it a slow walk. He could give it a fast walk. But I think he wants to give it a slow walk because this is complex for many Republicans who still preach some perverse form of fiscal responsibility or fiscal restraint. who may not want to do this, or who want Joe Biden to just encounter as much need as he can possibly encounter, to defer all of this to Biden and let him deal with it. Don't make life easier for Joe by giving everybody $2,000 and sort of tiding everybody over until the spring. And I think all of that's a factor. And I predict, can't be sure, I predict that what McConnell wants to do is give favorable lip service to it and rely on that deliberative process of the Senate to slow walk it. And then all of a sudden, we're into a new administration and it's a new president's problem. That's what I think. Could be wrong.
Yeah. And as you indicated, it doesn't have to be a slow walk process or deliberative process. They've kind of debated this already. It's just, do you want to give more or not give more? Let's talk about.
The principle is debated, and the amount has been debated. So, I mean, we could vote. I think they don't want to do it. I don't think they, but I think they would if they have to. Best to try to defer it, finesse it. I think we shall see.
It seems like, too, with his veto of the National Defense Authorization Act, that there is the political will, even among Republicans, to override that veto. It passed by a huge margin. Congressman Frank Hill tells me on our TV show yesterday he plans to override that veto or vote to override that veto. Again, do you think that will happen? And how does Trump react to that?
I know it will happen in the House. Although, by the way, Minority Leader McCarthy and his number two, I forget his name, Scalise, you know his name. Yeah, they say they're going to vote to sustain the veto. There will be some continued Republican leadership acquiescence to this monster that they've got in the White House at the top level. But I think they voted for it by more than enough votes to override, and I think they will get that done. Trickier again in the Senate. What is somebody like, Cotton and people like that? They want to be the new Trump, but they're also conservative, pro-defense Republicans, and that's another part of their identity. And they already voted for it. I'm not as sure again of the Senate, but I think this thing ought to be overridden, should be overridden, probably will be.
All right, turning to the state legislature, we have a Stand Your Ground law bill that has been filed. We've certainly heard a lot of talk about that over the last couple of months. What do you predict the level of votes for passage in the Arkansas legislature? And tell me, what is the need for this?
Well, the first part is easier than the last part. The need for it. Got a whole column on that tomorrow, which basically takes 800 words to say there is no need for it. But this would have passed last time in this legislature, this very right-wing legislature. But the Senate Judiciary Committee proved a remarkable place. You remember Senator Stephanie Flowers' virally famous tirade against the gun culture. And then Senator John Cooper of Jonesboro, a rare Republican vote against. The prosecuting attorneys came in and said, we've got self-defense laws now. There's no practical reason for saying that you don't, that we need to change that. There's nothing that needs fixing here in terms of our self-defense. We don't convict people of crimes for what's plainly self-defense without this Stand Your Ground law. The Stand Your Ground law. So I think that's going to, but what's changed this time is that there are now 5 extreme conservatives on that committee. What's changed now is that we had the 2020 election in Arkansas and we moved even more extreme to the right, and it'll pass with 70-80%, I think. It will. The need for it does not exist. There is no practical problem of people out here getting brought up on charges for properly defending themselves. What the Stand Your Ground law does mainly is it takes out language that says that in self-defense you must look to avoid these confrontations if there is a possibility. But if you find that there isn't, then you can defend yourself. That's worked for decades. It has not presented any problem that we've seen. This basically says you can shoot somebody if they scare you. This basically says you can shoot somebody based on what you've got in your head. It's a dangerous law. And it also, and the Prosecuting Attorneys Association has insisted that gang members be excluded. So basically, that we've got a bill out there that says you can shoot and get away with it, shoot somebody because they scare you, unless you're a gang member, and then you're different. That sounds like unequal protection under the law. And then we have the final factor, which is that the governor of the state, Asa Hutchinson, merely a regular conservative Republican, therefore the left flank of the current legislative politics, he said 2 years ago that he thought our current protections in the self-defense law were adequate. So what's he going to do now when it looks like the thing's going to fly through to his desk? We just got a real interesting stew pot here for this epic battle between the really conservative and the crazy conservative. That's what we got coming, and that's what we're going to spend 60, 90 days looking at, I think.
So that is one that could play, obviously, in the 2022 governor's race in terms of staking out the position. I suspect we'll see a position from Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin and Attorney General Leslie Rutledge on that.
On stand your ground?
Yes.
Oh, they're definitely going to fall over each other trying to be toughest on stand your ground laws and the need for them. And then Sarah Sanders, if she gets in, will be the same way.
And then we see Cody Highland, the U.S. attorney, who announced he's going to resign at the end of the year. He is rumored to be an attorney general's candidate in 2022 and is a former prosecutor from the Conway area there. And I think we will see some more people start entering some of these open seat races that are going to be out there. Again, this could be another place where we see this issue debated in the attorney general's race as well.
I don't know what's to debate. I mean, the battle is in the conservative Republican primary. I don't know what Republican would have the nerve right now to resist a stand your ground law. Basically, to be the Attorney General of Arkansas right now, you just have to say, I'm going to sign on to whatever the Texas Attorney General does, and we're going to fight this nasty national liberalism. That's basically what Leslie Rutledge has done, and it has put her on a course potentially to the governorship, something she's got a good chance to get to, unless Sarah Sanders gets in. As she told me the last time I talked to her, she was going to do after she would make her decision or announcement after the first of the year. Well, that's coming up, but I don't know if she meant one day after or 8-10 months after. I don't know. But it's time for the political posturing for the big 2020 state race elections, which will really be Republican primaries tantamount to election. It's time for all that maneuvering to really step up the pace. So that gives us something to either look forward to or fret about, depending on how it's structured.
So let's call it what it truly is. It is called the John Brummett column protection season, is what it is. You're going to have plenty to write about, is what I hear you saying.
I think that I will. And I think with Trump gone and the national politics that I'm desiring, which is boring, center out, incremental, imperfect progress, that's what I'm prescribing for the country. That's all great, but it's not great for columns. But I guarantee you that this legislative session and this emerging Republican primary fight for these open constitutional offices in 2022, leading with the governor, it's going to be there's going to be plenty for me to write about.
All right.
About and for us to talk about.
John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Always good to get your take. Thank you for being with us.
And Happy New Year to you. You take care.
Same to you. That's all for today's program. I'm Roby Brock. Thanks for watching.